Здравствуйте.
This is my first video in a while. I recently had a new mic purchased because the old one had a bit of a USB problem. But anyway, actually, hold on. Alright, now that I've got my mic adjusted, I can speak pretty quietly, not wake anybody up, and you guys still hear me. So, recently I had an emotional burst, determined motivation to make a video. This usually happens a lot, and I dismiss it. It's happened with AI, it's happened with the way certain toxic masculinity traits act, very specific archetypes. Politics. That's a whole bag of like 5 different things that I've had a need to talk about. But the one thing I've always felt, and this would happen in the past, is that I would have a moment of very long silence after I actually got everything I had out. And that's because I can't really, like, I used to do it a lot in the past, but right now, I don't really speak past the point that I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I just don't. Anytime I don't have like a tangible or a knowledgeable view of something, like I don't have that perspective that I need, or that I personally, morally need to speak on something. Usually after that, that's when I kind of have those really long pauses that you hear in a video. That's usually why. It's because I'm trying to find anything to continue on that I can either confidently or verifiably stay true to myself in doing. But anyway, I think I have a pretty big topic today. Um, Something that I can really delve into. It's not exactly going to be specifically what it starts as, but wrapping up all that within the first 3 minutes is really a symbol that I don't have any big pauses here, and I have something to go off of. So, let's get into it. Much like other times, this starts off with a very specific set of words, a text chat in a game, or a video in my feed, or a reel. And it's usually something with a very similar message, or a very similar collective of words in a sentence that I've grown tired of, that I really just don't get the point of expressing anymore. Because it seems like so many people are still clinging to the same automatic societal operations of social interaction that really only serve to bring people apart. Like, for instance, the whole thing that started this was a Metal.tv clip of, posted by Meta02, playing Team Fortress 2, titled Another Homophobe Destroyed. And in the first couple seconds, they, they flash a bunch of screenshots of this person in question, the homophobe in question. They post a bunch of screenshots of their text chat messages with Vine booms synchronized to them. And one of the things that I've seen too many times, honestly, like way too many times, is something along the lines of "You're a virgin, bro. I get it," or "You're a virgin," or like virgin behavior, or whatever, or like "You really need some pussy" or something, and that really bothers me. Not necessarily because I actually care about whatever that person is trying to say, because at the end of the day, like, I've learned in the past, just because I actually critically think about what I say, and I think for a while at a time, just plenty. And whenever I do that, it's in response to somebody like this who's literally just trying to be, like, literally just trying to be a nuisance, essentially. Like, they're just getting at the point that, like, I don't like you, I don't like your behavior, and I just want to get that out in a way that I hope punches into you. And one of the examples here is like, you know, you really need some pussy, or like, you're a virgin, trying to poke at like some sort of insecurity for fragile masculinity of like needing that heterosexual partner. And, you know, that's all they're getting at. But in the past, before I learned the lesson that most people don't actually think about what they say, past like the first order, but most people don't really think past that. So when you start engaging past that, it's not taken as overthinking at first. If it's a friendly interaction, your friend might tell you to stop overthinking because, like, you know, they're trying to help you out, like help you disengage from the level that you're engaged at and go back to like where they're at, because they're at a simpler level than you are. Because when somebody says like you're a virgin, the implication that the implication is that it's your fault. The implication is that like you are a virgin. That is a part of you. That is a physical condition. A little bit dramatic in the wording there, but you get my point. So when they say it like that, the immediate place my head goes to is I mean, like, the implication is that it's their fault in today's society, where like it's very hard to find any similarity with people when they have such a big discernment between what makes somebody their friend and what makes somebody to avoid. And there's a lot more of a dangerous environment for women these days. Or any time in history, it seems. So, when I see somebody calling somebody else a virgin with the implication that it's their fault, when that happens, I just immediately jump to the defense of the other person in my own head. Not necessarily actually defending them in game chat, because, you know, it's really not that deep for that specific interaction, but I just tend to think about the actual, like, amount of inconsideration that entails. And the main part of that would be that there's a reason most people are a virgin right now. And having sex at all entails a very specific amount of consequence to you, the other person, and what could potentially happen in heterosexual sex, or even gay, lesbian, or any sort of queer sexual activity. And there is a lot of nuance to it, but anything involving insertion or penetration or contact with oral surfaces or genitalia usually involves some form of risk for either pregnancy, STI, STD, or just an inherent risk. And then you have the social aspect of it. I derive all of that from, like, you know, it's really hard right now because it's not simplified. A lot of people just know more about it. There's gaps. There's very significant gaps that I really am concerned about. Like, there's very significant gaps about, like, what guys consider. Like, most guys don't know that pregnancy can be very influenced by their own sperm. And, like, at the same time, a lot of guys also know that their sperm is being, like, killed off by microplastics. Like, how do you know how your sperm becomes unhealthy, but not know how unhealthy sperm affects that pregnancy? Like, they don't go down a line of progression. There's no education system for this. There's just a system of internet and what that internet gives the public. And what the internet gives the public isn't inherently a progression of education. It's either the first level and nothing else, or it's the last level with enough of a sprinkling of other levels in there. Like, somebody would rather get you on board on woman support by using the threat of, like, men are causing women to throw up during pregnancy. You are to blame. And making you, like, guilt tripping you into that personal association with other men who are inconsiderate about the way they take care of their own bodily health before impregnating a woman. And they would rather get you in that way. They would rather get you in with that simple message than ever actually get you to fully grasp and understand the totality of the concept. And much like that, that person in game chat would much rather have you take a very simple step of, you are a virgin. It's your fault. This is why you're bad at the game. If you had sex, you would be better at the game. That person would rather have you take all of that than think about the implication of that, like, it could be projection. Or, why the fuck are you calling a random stranger a virgin? Like, that matters. Like, you're in a TF2 match. Your username, as far as the screenshot goes, is Meownax Air Blaster Mask. Air Blaster Max. That's a tongue twister of a username, honestly. And it's just, like, it's just fueled by hatred. But here's the weird thing to me. The weird thing I've never gotten about a gamer's hatred is that they just go straight to 100. And they go straight to 100, but like most people's 100 is this. It's literally just calling somebody obscenities or profanity. And for me personally, that's not what my gamer rage looks like. It never has. For me, gamer rage looks like just getting off the game and complaining in the community Discord server. But like, that's the furthest extent it's gone to, and I usually try to pose it as a source of education for what I'm angry at, because I'm actually usually not angry at a personal interaction with somebody. Oftentimes in games, I've found that other gamers and other people in the community are actually insanely problematic to my experience. It's much like shows or movies or music. I have found a very few amount of people who actually consume media and games the way that I do. And it's honestly usually only a similarity. There's only one person I've heard who, like, you know, I describe directly that I experience them as is without any standards, and I only use the standards that that media itself has given me. Like, if the creators of a show say what they wanted the show to be and what the show is, then that gives me leeway to judge a show based off of that. Not based off of what I want it to be or what I think it is, or what it objectively is, but what the frame of reference was. And much like that, I like to experience the game as is, and the weapons and the balance and everything. And when I'm mad as a Doomfist main that I'm stuck in silver ranks and silver ranked players ban things in more of a personal way than an actual objective balanced way, they just sort of they sort of just move their mouse to whatever they got killed by the last game. And that's a really stupid way to play the game to me. And I can only remember one time where I looked at the heroes that the other person banned on my team or on the enemy team, and it was a Reinhardt, and he banned Ball. I could see Ball. You know, Ball can be pretty annoying because he can just get past your shield. He can just boop you, and he can, you know, lay down mines. Make it pretty easy for you to get punished. And then he banned Ramattra and Orisa, which Ramattra can punch through his shield and just damage him directly, and just ignore half of his kit, so makes sense. And then Orisa has just more power. She's a meta tank, so, you know, one of the three, like, quote-unquote meta tanks. It doesn't mean that they're actually meta, it just means that, like, those three tanks, Roadhog, Orisa, and Mauga, are always usually in rotation. Right now it seems like more of a Roadhog or Orisa kind of meta, as far as those problem tanks go, but anyway, it's a different thing. The hero bands are a direct example of how gamers will use their game as more of a emotional outlet, emotional expression, or emotional fantasy than a skill. And for most gamers, it's usually a combination of these things, but to me, the best thing you can do is actually uninvolve yourself. Uninvolve yourself emotionally as much as possible, because the more emotionally involved into a game you are that has a social interaction in it, you are more likely to damage your own experience of the game and gain more anger and frustration from it than enjoyment. And if you just have that back and forth like TF2, where you have a rage-filled community, but a very randomized and sort of like random crits, a bunch of like cool kill mechanics and a bunch of stuff like that, and you start to randomize whether you're going to get joy or rage from that game, it can create a vicious cycle. And gamers thrive off of that vicious cycle. I did for a while too, and a lot of people just get stuck in that loop until eventually one side of the vicious cycle wins over and they kill off whatever part didn't win. For most people, that usually means the part of the vicious cycle that won was the vicious part. You know, the rage-filled interactions, the amount of times you'll get banned from text chat or you'll get filtered out by a very righteous system most of the time, honestly. Unless you have a community of people who just reports for fun. Which, before I continue, is another bad part of Overwatch 2 competitive, or even quick play. You see it a lot less in quick play, but mainly in competitive, if you have a bad teammate, or an AFK teammate, or a disconnecting teammate, or a swapping teammate, or any negative trait of a teammate that isn't inherently, like not even something that would warrant a report in the first place, like not one of the options for a report, like griefing, like a Mei that walls you constantly, just somebody who's making like a little too many mistakes for the standard of competitive you have in your fucking monkey brain. And they just say, report insert username of bad teammate here. Did you say report that? And guess what? A lot of people do. And that makes me fucking furious. That's what I care about. That's what sets me off, personally. Because I care about the actual social system of games being upheld and being improved, not being degraded over time into some sort of cliquey environment where people just have this weird social credit for certain players or certain ranks or certain heroes. And then everybody just has this weird cycle of meta heroes that are annoying to play against, and people who play that hero are just, you know, fucking annoying. It's this weird lack of perception and lack of analyzation that makes it so shallow. You try to find a reason in it, and you find out that nobody really reasons when they play these games. They let the game do the reasoning for them. They let the game play out everything the way they want to. They have a confirmation bias on almost everything in that game. They have hundreds of hours, and yet they choose they choose to use it not on improving their own skill in the game, not treating the game as a fun hobby to get better at and interact with other people along the way. They treat it as a competitive scene where their own standard is what matters for their experience, not their own growth. And I think about 20 minutes is exactly where I want to end that topic. I could delve into it more, technically, but I'm not organized enough right now. It's 3 a.m., and I should probably stop talking. I've been talking for about 20 minutes, and that's 20 minutes too long for this time of night. My parents could wake up at any time and kick me out. However, I want to leave you with this. Everything I just yapped about, it's exactly the kind of thought process I enter whenever I read some sort of message about me being like somebody directly saying, or somebody saying to the rest of the lobby or my teammate that they should be reported, or that they are that they played this hero and that hero's bad or annoying, or like it's gonna lose us the game, or like swap to this hero, or you're a virgin, or you're gay, like legitimate just homophobia. This entire video entails every context in my head that I think about when I see something like that, because it exposes many moments throughout every game I play that has multiplayer. If I don't have the chat muted, I just get to witness how disengaged everybody is from games. But there is one forgiving factor that is here. Personally, I have found that everybody has some aspect of life in 2025 that they're disengaged from, whether that be sympathy and empathy for other people, or understanding and education for politics, or a care and passion for video games, or a insane amount of investment to music, shows, and movies. Everybody has a disengagement from those areas because it is recession consumerism that makes some people so depressed to a certain aspect of something, and it only takes one of them being an emotional hurt more than all the others to be dropped like a dead body into a grave. And eventually everything else will pile on, and that's how you get people who just disconnect from their devices entirely. The one forgiving factor that is that I am personally engaged into video games. But there are other people who are disengaged from the video games they play, and that is why they just want a casual experience full of fun, and why they dictate so much upon people who ruin their fun. And outside of that game, they could be engaged into politics, unlike me, who is disengaged, skeptic, and uneducated on politics. Everybody has different areas and different gaps, and that is the one thing that makes me able to realize that the difference between a human and a gamer is the state of mind and the time and place. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. No ci no clava